What's up, Pirate Nation? Welcome to another edition of Hall Talk. I'm your host, Dylan Schreibman, and my panelists will be joining me shortly. Before then, let's take a quick recap. Seton Hall sports are in the home stretch of its season, with basketball season looming around the corner. We will get to that shortly. But first, swimming is off to a hot start in the pool. With a weekend sweep of Providence and Bucknell, the men's team has won 3 matches in a row and is off to a 6-1 start. Sophomore Dakota Williams swept the 53 free this weekend against Providence and Bucknell, racking 3 total wins against the Bison and adding a 100 free win against the Friars. On the women's side, freshman Clara Capone has been dominant in the pool with 7 wins so far, including 5 individual this season. The team split this weekend matches with a win against Providence, but then lost against Bucknell to bring their record to 5-3. Next, the soccer season is concluded for both teams, with the men's team losing a heartbreaker in the last 5 minutes to Villanova this past Thursday. The team ends their season with a 4-11-2 record and has many looming questions entering the offseason. What direction do they go moving forward? The women's team had a rough slate in conference play, ending with a 1-8 conference record and 5-11-1 overall record. Where do they go losing 2 key players that are considered leaders? Finally, volleyball is in the race for 4th for the Big East tournament with a 6-7 conference record, which is good enough for a current 6th place in the Big East with 5 matches left, including an important match this weekend against Villanova. We break all of this down now. This is Hall Talk. Welcome back to the show. Without further ado, let me introduce my panel for this evening. Brian McNerney, JP Prue. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Okay, we have a lot to jump into, so without further ado, let's recap the soccer seasons first from the men's side. They finished with a 4-11-2 record. They lose their season finale against Villanova 2-1. Brian, I know your thoughts on that.
Well, you know, Seton Hall came into the game today, and what did they do? They took the lead. And, you know, good by Seton Hall by taking the lead. You got it. You go one zip into halftime. Good by you. But what happens? You're in Villanova. You struggle a little bit. What else happens? You give up 1 goal, and you give up another goal in the 86th minute. And that's been a true testament to this year. You know what I mean? And that's what happened to Seton Hall. Once again, they lost.
And I would like to add on to that. Yeah. At halftime, they've led a total of 6 times with a record of 3-2-1. Like, that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's over 500. But if they won all 6 of those games, we're talking a team that's now 7-9-1. That's a totally different team. We're talking about maybe not even on the hot seat. That's a much improved record from 4-11-2.
Brian, this team is a team that's 1-7 this year in 1-goal games. Talk about that, how close and what the record could have been, like JP?
Well, you know, the thing is, you know, you're not really seeing big steps up by the defense. You know, they're really struggling with the defense, and you know, some of the upper seniors that are coming in aren't really stepping up in a way to really help out this team, and it's really showing dividends. What happens when a team is struggling? Upper players come up, they step up, and they help a team push to get those squeaker wins, and you know what? You didn't see it happen this year, and that's the big difference.
It's all about finishing.
This is a team that, though, has made some improvements.
It has, but we're talking about a team that won no games last year. Like, 4 wins, yeah, it's great compared to no wins, but it's nothing to be proud of. This team needs to win more. They've had plenty of opportunities, and 4 wins is not going to do it.
Yeah, well, like what JP said, how much worse could you really get? Exactly. So,
looking forward now into the offseason, they lose some big players. Spindler's gone, Miranda's gone. Now Arcelo has enough credits to graduate. He's gone. Where does this team go from here?
I think it has to go to Jonathan Jimenez. You know, this is a guy who really stepped up this year. This is a guy who came in with speed, a guy who came in with flames on his wheels, and he had so much heart to push past anybody else that the coach had to calm him down on the sideline. This is a guy who came in, he put up 2 goals, 5 assists by a team that was dominant by Arcelo. Arcelo ran this team, but you know what? If there's a highlight through this year, it's Jonathan Jimenez.
I will say it, Jimenez cannot do it by himself next year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Gasper Jean-Baptiste. I love my French names. And he may have only put up 1 goal this year, but we need to have more people step up. It can't just be a 1-person team again. You know, it's 4 wins if it's 1 person.
The coach, now Coach Echeverry, the question circling Seton Hall, has he proved his worth in his 5 years here?
Well, we all know where I stand on that right there. You know, I made a couple comments a couple shows ago about him. But honestly, what has he really shown? You know, last year we had one of the worst Seton Hall seasons ever in Seton Hall history. And then follow that by having, 4 wins this year? Congratulations. But what have you really done to keep yourself on this team? How much more rope do you need to have to continue to be a Seton Hall coach?
Okay. And
I'll say it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years, you need to win more than 4 games in 5 years.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move to swimming. They've been off to a hot start this season. The men's team 6-1, the women's team 5-3. A great weekend for the men's team this weekend, sweeping Bucknell and Providence.
Absolutely. This team came into that meet and they came out explosive. You watched the first couple races go off, and that men's team was electric. They came out, they put their hands in the water, and they beat everyone. They swept their first 4 races in a row. They came out, and you could hear after every single time they swept, you could see the fans and the team cheering, "Let's go Pirates!" And they brought electric to the room, they brought electric to the building, and that men's team is on fire this year.
And let's be clear, Providence and Bucknell were nowhere near them in any race.
No.
I saw a whole pool in some races. It was insane.
And this is a Bucknell team. It's like, okay, maybe the competition wasn't that good today. Maybe the competition wasn't. This is a Bucknell team that competed with them in the Patriot Invitational last year. This is a Bucknell team that they expected to be a tough team to go against. So you know what? For them to go out there and honestly blow them away, props to Seton Hall men's swim team, because you know what? They took a Bucknell team who really is a competitor. A team that took away points from them last year in a big invitational. Good by them. This team's got some depth, and they brought some players in this year. They brought some swimmers in this year from overseas. They brought some more from around. Congratulations, Seton Hall swim team. You have a team this year that can compete in the Big East and compete in the Big East tournament, Big East Conference Championship this year.
And now moving over to the women's side, freshman Claire Capone had a great weekend. They split the matches this weekend, but her weekend was astounding. 4 wins against Providence, 2 individual, and then 2 more wins against Bucknell despite the loss. What can you say about her and the women's team?
Well, she is honestly taking this team by the hand, and she's kind of the motivator for this team. You can watch her look at some of the upperclassmen and say, hey, you know what? We can do this. We got this. And that's when and like I was saying about the soccer team, upperclassmen are supposed to be the ones that step up for the younger classmen. She's coming out there, and she's really being a huge step up for this team, and that's what Claire's been for this team. I'm really impressed by her a lot.
But at the same time, it needs to be a whole team effort.
Exactly.
The men's team, they swept plenty of races. But we're also seeing things where they're coming in second, then 4th, 5th. They need to sweep. They need to get 1st and 2nd. That's the way you can rack up more wins, especially in conference play. And
this team moving forward, speaking of the men's team, how do they keep it hot? How do they keep it going?
How do they keep it going? You got to keep Noah and Shilas keep on going throughout this year. You got to keep the kids from overseas, from Jerusalem, pushing in the water. And honestly, if you keep them going on the IMs, who's really going to stop this team? Not even just the individual races, them as a collective team in the relays are killing it. And honestly, it's really impressive to watch just the difference from last year compared to this year. And I've talked to the coach a little bit. I've talked about some of the schemes they're doing. They're pushing them harder than they ever have in practice this year. They're tapering more than they ever have. And you know what? It's showing dividends. And you know what? Come around Big East. Who's going to stop them when they come around Big East? Because they're not preparing for the next meet. They're preparing for the big dance. They're preparing for the Big East Championship.
And that's exactly the right point. They are not thinking about the next opponent. They're thinking about the main goal, and that is to win the conference overall.
Yep.
And that is what is key about this team.
And the women's team you mentioned needs to be more of a team effort. Who exactly needs to step up?
Well, some of the people that really need to step up, Paige Anderson, a senior who's been on this team. Kylie Renee needs to step up a little bit. She was one of the top swimmers in the team last year. She's struggling with a couple of her strokes. You're watching a couple key swimmers, but mostly what really needs to step up is the fact of who's going to be their diver this year. They had a quality diver in Gabby Signorelli, who really was a key points player. She came in, she put up 5 to 7 points as a diver. Now you may say, okay, 5 to 7 points out of 10, what is that? But really, now they're putting up 1 to 2 or even sometimes 3. That's a crucial key factor in adding a point to the team. So honestly, what's the dive team going to do for the Seton Hall swim team? That's my big factor.
And I think he nailed it. It's all about just getting those extra points.
Yep.
And same thing with
Team
all
effort.
the team effort, team effort, team effort. That's all I got to say.
And now we move on to a team that is near the end of their season, the Seton Hall volleyball team, currently in 6th place in the Big East standings, hunting for that top 4. They lose to Creighton this weekend, but then they come back with a win over Providence, a sweep over Providence to takeaways from the weekend.
Well, as you're watching the Seton Hall volleyball team, they struggle against Creighton, and that's obvious. We all kind of expected that to happen.
They were going to.
This is a team that Creighton is spectacular. They held their own against Kansas. They held their own against another top 25 team in the nation. And you know what? Props to Creighton, but what does a great team do? They expose the weaknesses in a lower team. And what do they show? They showed a team that isn't good at putting the ball in the positions they want it to be. They showed a team that wasn't able to honestly get the ball over the net. You know, you watch this Creighton team use their size and speed, and Seton Hall has quick hands and quick speed, but honestly, Creighton took advantage of the fact of they made Seton Hall put the ball where they didn't want to go, and Creighton put the ball where they wanted every single play, in and out. And you know, it goes to key players like Danny Schroeder and maybe even Abby Thielen, a young lady who's coming up right now as a sophomore. They need to step up and help this team.
Yeah, they were outclassed. Creighton's here.
They're
Everyone else
undefeated. They are the top
is
of the
here.
East.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
They were clearly outclassed, and you really can't expect now. This team's young, and they're Creighton. That's
Coming up this weekend, they have Georgetown and Villanova. Georgetown at the bottom of the conference, but Villanova is a team that they're chasing. The keys to this weekend for this volleyball team to make a move.
the key. They got to win. They got to beat Villanova. That is a tough team that's ahead of them. You have to win to get ahead, and the same with Georgetown. Georgetown's not a good team, but you can't look past them. It's simple as that. You beat the teams behind you. You got to beat the teams in front of you. Down the schedule, there's Marquette. Don't have to worry about them. Just make sure, because Nova and DePaul in front of us have hard schedules. Just beat those teams.
If I had to say anything, it would be honestly play as a team that can take the ball and put it where they need the ball to go. You know, you watch the Seton Hall volleyball team struggle against Creighton so much in the fact of they weren't able to get the ball over the net, but they weren't able to get their feet set to get ready for a spike or a kill by the other team. And that goes in the line of Abby Thielen. When Abby Thielen, shocking, Abby Thielen is one of the leaders in the team of kills. She's second in the team behind Danny Schroeder, a senior on the team. But what you really saw with Abby Thielen was the fact that when she came off, it wasn't one-dimensional anymore. You watch Sharice Hedingen, you watch Danny Schroeder, you watch a whole bunch of players come in together and work together to get a couple points on, but you need Abby Thielen. You really do. So how are you going to incorporate to have a team and Abby Thielen on that team? That's the big key to this team.
Real quick, what's the predictions for this weekend, and can this team get into the top four? Real quickly.
I got them beating Georgetown 3-1, 3-0. Simple that you need to beat them.
Yeah.
It's simple as that one. Nova, I'm sorry. I'm going to have the Wildcats win this one in 5. Hate me now. I'm sorry.
I can't agree with that. This is a team that has, not just only I know this is a young team, but this is a team with experience. You have to remember, this is the team that brought it all the way to the Big East Championship, and they won the Big East Conference a couple years ago. Danny Schroeder and Tessa Fournier are really going to lead this team. I think they're going to beat Georgetown, and I think they're going to beat Villanova in 4.
Confident for my panel, Bryant McNary and JP Pruth. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and stay tuned for next week's edition of Hall Talk.